bank manager's voice was apologetic, but firm. "Mr. Carter, I'm afraid we have a problem. Someone used your identity to apply for a $275,000 home equity loan against your property. The good news is we caught it before any money changed hands. The bad news is the IP address traces back to your son's residence." I sat in my truck outside the hardware store, keys still in the ignition, groceries warming in the passenger seat. "How certain are you?" "Mr. Carter, the application was submitted from 2847 Willow Creek Drive on October 3rd at 3:47 p.m. Your son's address. And we have security footage of someone using your driver's license at our branch that same day. The person bears a strong resemblance to the authorized user on your son's account, Brian Carter, listed as your power of attorney. I never gave my son power of attorney." Silence on the line. Then, "Mr. Carter, I think you need come in, and you might want to bring a lawyer." 2 hours earlier, I'd been cleaning my garage, organizing tools with the precision of 43 years as a fire captain. Everything labeled, everything maintained, everything in its place. The discipline never leaves you. Neither does the habit of documentation. I pulled my leather journal from my workbench drawer. 43 years of daily entries, every inspection logged, every detail recorded. I flipped to October 3rd. October 3rd, 1 p.m., left for Emma's soccer game. Alarm code 4729 activated. October 3rd, 6:30 p.m., return home. Front door unlocked. Alarm deactivated. My office disturbed. Insurance folder moved. Desk drawer open 2 inches. I always close them completely. Window cracked open. I never leave windows open. October 3rd, 7:15 p.m., Brian arrived unexpectedly. Just in the neighborhood. Stayed 10 minutes. Nervous behavior. Asked about my schedule for next week. Glanced repeatedly at my desk. I'd known something was wrong that day. Now I knew exactly what. 45 minutes later, I walked into First Security Bank with my attorney, Margaret Chin, a woman who'd helped me navigate property law for 15 years. The bank manager, Jennifer Walsh, spread documents across the conference table. There was my signature, or a damn good forgery of it, my social security number, copies of my tax returns, property deed, driver's license. Account number ending in 4729, Jennifer said, pulling up records on her screen. The loan application references your primary checking account for automatic monthly payments of $1,847. I'd memorized that account number 40 years ago. 4729, the year my wife Margaret was born. Brian knew that too. "Mr. Carter, your son came into this branch on October 3rd with these documents. He said you'd asked him to handle the loan application because you were, quote, getting forgetful in your old age. He had your driver's license, which he claimed you'd given him for safekeeping." I looked at the signature. Close. Very close. But I've been signing documents for 65 years. This wasn't mine. "Show me the security footage," I said. Jennifer pulled up the video on her laptop. There was Brian, my 40-year-old son, walking into bank at 2:17 p.m. on October 3rd, shaking hands with a loan officer, handing over documents, signing forms, smiling like he owned the place, like he was about to own MY Place. What was the money for? Margaret asked. The application states home improvements and debt consolidation. But here's the thing. We require an appraisal for loans this size. When our appraiser went to property last week, Mr. Carter was confused about why someone was there. That's when we started investigating. "Good," I said, "because I'm pressing charges for fraud, forgery, and identity theft." Margaret pulled out a legal pad. "William, I need you to confirm some details. Property deed number? 2020 PD 4729. Recorded April 17th, 2020, Riverside County." She looked impressed. "You remember that?" "I remember everything, Margaret. Fire captains don't guess about details." Jennifer nodded slowly. "I've already notified the FBI. Home equity fraud is a federal offense. Detective Morrison from the local fraud division will be here in," she checked her watch, 5 minutes. Margaret looked at me. William, this is your son. Are you absolutely certain? I thought about the past 6 months. Brian's increasingly frequent visits, always with questions about my finances. His suggestion that I simplify my affairs and give him power of attorney. His comments about me getting older and needing help managing things. The way he'd started going through my mail during visits, saying he was just organizing. I'm certain, I said, my son tried to steal my house. That's not a family matter. That's a felony. Detective Morrison arrived with a briefcase full of evidence. Margaret leaned forward. Before the detective presents his findings, William, you need to understand your options. We can pursue this criminally, civilly, or both. Criminal prosecution means jail time, but civil litigation means asset recovery. What do you want? I want him to understand there are consequences. Then criminal, she said, making notes. I'll file for immediate asset protection. Emergency restraining order on all your financial accounts. And I'll draft a codicil to you excluding him permanently. Should take about 2 hours. Let's do it. Mr. Carter, we've been building a case against your son for the past week. With your cooperation, we have enough for multiple felony charges. He opened his laptop and showed me bank records. Brian's accounts were a disaster. $187,000 in gambling debts across 4 different casinos. Credit cards maxed out. Personal loans from 3 different lenders, all past due. And a pattern of desperate behavior. Selling his car, pulling his daughters out of private school, missing mortgage payments. Your son is drowning in debt, Morrison said. The $275,000 from your home equity loan would have paid off most of it. He could have claimed he was managing your affairs, and you'd never have known until the monthly payments started coming out of your account. How long until he was succeeded? I asked. The loan was approved yesterday. Closing was scheduled for next Tuesday. If you hadn't happened to be home when our appraisers showed up, this would have gone through. 5 more days. I've been 5 days away from losing my house. What happens now? First, we protect your assets, Margaret said. She pulled out her phone and dialed. This is Margaret Chun, attorney for William Carter. I need to place an immediate fraud hold on all accounts associated with Social Security number ending in 4729. Authorization code Charlie 7429er. The bank representative's voice came through on speaker. Fraud hold activated. All authorized users except primary account holder have been suspended. Effective immediately. Confirmation number? Margaret asked. FH 2024-10-7729. Margaret wrote it down. Thank you. She looked at me. Your money is safe. No one can touch it now. Detective Morrison looked at Jennifer, then at Margaret, then at me. That depends on you, Mr. Carter. We can make an arrest today. Or we can wait, gather more evidence, build a stronger case. But I'll be honest, your son will likely run if he knows we're onto him. Men with gambling debts and fraud charges tend to disappear fast. I pulled out my phone and dialed Brian's number. Everyone in the room looked at me. Dad. Brian answered on the second ring. What's up? Brian, I need your help with something. Can you come to my house tonight around 7 o'clock? I'm having trouble with my computer, and you're always so good with technology. I could hear him process this. The sudden opportunity. Sure, Dad. Is everything okay? I let the silence work. Let him fill it with his own greed. Everything's fine. I just need help accessing my banking information. I think I forgot my password. The change in his voice was instant. The sudden interest, the eagerness. Your banking information? Yeah, Dad, I can definitely help with that. 7 o'clock. Perfect. See you then. I hung up and looked at Detective Morrison. He'll be there at 7 o'clock. He thinks I need help with my bank password. That's when you arrest him. Morrison smiled. Mr. Carter, you just made this much easier. 7 p.m. arrived cold and clear. I sat in my living room, the same room where I'd taught Brian to read, the same room where we'd watch football games every Sunday when he was growing up, the same room where his mother had held him as a baby before the cancer took her 12 years ago. 2 unmarked police cars were parked down the street. Detective Morrison sat in my kitchen with two officers, waiting. At 6:58 p.m., Brian's car pulled into my driveway. I opened the door before he could knock. "Hey, Dad." He smiled, carrying a laptop bag. "Let's get that banking issue sorted out." "Come in, son." He walked into my living room, setting his bag on the coffee table. "So, what's the problem with your computer?" "No problem, Brian. But we do need to talk about the $275,000 home equity loan you tried to take out in my name." His face went white. "Dad, I don't know what—" Detective Morrison stepped out from the kitchen, two uniformed officers behind him. "Brian Carter, you're under arrest for mortgage fraud, identity theft, and forgery." Brian backed up, his eyes wild. "Dad, wait! This is a misunderstanding." "No, Brian. A misunderstanding is forgetting to call on my birthday. This is you forging my signature, stealing my documents, and trying to take out a $275,000 loan against my house to pay your gambling debts. You're $187,000 in debt to casinos, Brian. I saw the records. You lost your car, pulled Emma and Sophie out of private school, and you're 3 months behind on your mortgage. So you decided to steal from your father? I was going to pay it back. With what money? You're $187,000 in debt. You can't even make your mortgage payments." Morrison stepped forward with handcuffs. "Mr. Carter, we need to take you into custody now." "You have the right to remain silent." Brian's eyes met mine as the handcuffs clicked shut. "Dad, please, think about Emma and Sophie. They need their father." "Then you should have thought about that before you committed fraud." They led him to the door. Brian tried to turn back, tried to say something. I didn't respond. Mom would have forgiven me. I stopped him at the door. "Your mother died fighting cancer for 3 years. She never gave up. She faced every day with courage and dignity. And you dishonor her memory by using it to justify stealing from your own father. Your mother would have been heartbroken that you turned into someone capable of this. Don't use her memory to justify what you did." They took him away. I sat in my living room for a long time after that. The same room where I'd taught him right from wrong. The same room where his mother had held him and told him she loved him. 3 days later, Brian's wife, Sarah, showed up at my door. "I hope I did the right thing," I said to her. She looked at me with tear-stained eyes. "He's facing 10 years, Will. Federal fraud charges. The DA wants to make an example out of him. He tried to steal my house, Sarah. What did you think would happen?" "I know, but Emma and Sophie, they're asking when Daddy's coming home. You tell them their grandfather loves them, but their father made choices, bad choices, and now he has to face the consequences." She wiped her eyes. "He says you set him up, that you knew about the gambling, knew he was desperate, and you let him take the bait. I documented his break-in on October 3rd. I noticed my office was disturbed. I had no idea what he'd taken until the bank called me a week later. But yes, when I found out, I set the trap. Because men who commit fraud need to face consequences. He's your son. He's also a criminal. And if I'd let this slide, he would have done it again. To someone else. Maybe to you." That stopped her. "The DA offered a plea deal," she said quietly. 5 years probation. $15,000 in fines, gambling treatment program, complete severance from your estate, and a permanent restraining order on all your financial accounts. No prison time. And Brian wants to take it, but he wants to know, will you support it? The DA says your testimony matters. If you push for maximum sentencing, they'll pursue it. I thought about my son, the boy I'd raised, the man who tried to steal my house. Tell Brian I'll support the plea, but only if he completes the gambling treatment and agrees to supervise visitation with his daughters. I won't have him dragging them into his next scheme. Thank you, Will. Don't thank me, Sarah. This isn't mercy. This is me protecting my granddaughters from their father's bad decisions. The plea hearing was 2 weeks later. Brian stood before Judge Patricia Morrison, the same judge who'd overseen my property dispute 15 years ago. She recognized me in the gallery. "Mr. Carter," she said, "I understand you're the victim in this case. Do you have a statement?" I stood. Your Honor, my son committed serious crimes against me. He violated my trust, my home, and my financial security. But he's still my son. I don't want him in prison. I want him to get help. I want him to learn from this. And I want him to understand that actions have consequences. Judge Morrison nodded. Mr. Brian Carter, the court accepts your plea of guilty to 1 count of mortgage fraud and 1 count of identity theft. You are hereby sentenced to 5 years probation, $15,000 in fines payable over the probation period, mandatory gambling treatment, and a permanent restraining order preventing you from any contact with your father's financial, property, or legal affairs. She looked at Brian with disgust. You attempted to steal your father's home, the place where he raised you, the place your mother died. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. Use these 5 years to become a better man, because if you appear in my courtroom again, I will not be lenient. Gavel. Brian left the courtroom without looking at me. 6 months passed. I didn't hear from Brian. Sarah sent updates about the girls. Emma made honor roll. Sophie joined soccer, but no word about their father. I was okay with that. One afternoon, my neighbor Tom stopped by with a 6-pack of beer. Heard about Brian, he said. Tough situation. Yes. You did the right thing, Will. Man tries to steal your house, family or not. He faces the music. I keep wondering if Margaret would have wanted me to handle it differently. Tom shook his head. Margaret was the strongest woman I knew. She wouldn't have wanted you to be taken advantage of. She had been proud of you for standing up for yourself. You know what the worst part is? I said, not the fraud, not the lying. It's that he thought I wouldn't notice. He thought I was old and foolish and easy to manipulate. He underestimated me. Tom raised his beer. You still got it. Will, 43 years as a fire captain. Still do. I pulled out my journal and showed him the entries from October 3rd. Every detail, every inconsistency. That's what convicted him. My habit of writing everything down. That's what saved you, Tom corrected. If you hadn't documented that break-in, if you hadn't noticed a disturbed office, this would have gone through. We sat in silence, drinking our beers. He sent me a letter, I said finally, from his gambling treatment program, apologizing, saying he understands why I did what I did, asking if we can talk when he's out. What did you say? Nothing yet. I don't know if I can forgive him. Tom. Every time I think about it, I remember him walking into that bank, smiling, forging my signature, stealing my identity, planning to take everything I have. You don't have to forgive him, Will, but maybe someday you can tolerate him. For the girls. Maybe. 1 year later, I called Brian. Brian, it's your father. Shocked silence. Dad, I read your letter. I'm not ready to forgive you. Maybe I never will be, but I'm willing to have coffee. One time, we can talk. When? Saturday, 10 a.m., the diner on 4th Street. Don't be late. I won't be, Dad. Saturday morning, I arrived at the diner at 9:45. Brian was already there, sitting in a corner booth, nursing a coffee. He looked older, thinner, tired. I slid into the booth across from him. Thanks for coming, he said. Don't thank me yet. This isn't reconciliation. This is me giving you one chance to explain yourself. I know. He took a breath. I've been in treatment for a year. Gambling addiction therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, financial counseling, and I've learned a lot about myself. None of it good. Go on. I became someone I don't recognize, Dad. The gambling started small. $20 bets on football games with coworkers. Then it was weekends at the casino. Then it was me taking out credit cards Sarah didn't know about. Then personal loans. Then I was lying to everyone about everything. And then you decided to steal my house. Yeah. He looked at his hands. I convinced myself it wasn't really stealing. That you were old. That you didn't need that much money. That I could just borrow it and you'd never know. I convinced myself you were getting forgetful. That maybe you wouldn't even notice. Why, Brian? Why did you do it? Because I was desperate, and I convinced myself that it didn't count as stealing if I was going to pay it back. Because I'd gotten so deep that I couldn't think straight. Because you had money, and I didn't, and that felt unfair. And now I understand that fair doesn't mean you get to steal from people who love you. Now I understand that you earned your money through 43 years of running into burning buildings while I pissed mine away at casinos. I studied him, looking for signs of manipulation, looking for lies. But all I saw was exhaustion and shame. Here's what's going to happen. We can have coffee once a month. We can talk on the phone. But you don't come to my house. You don't ask me for money, ever. And if you gamble again, even once, this conversation is over. I understand. Do you? Because I'm not doing this for you, Brian. I'm doing this because I want to believe my son is still in there somewhere. I'm here, Dad. I'm trying. I stood up to leave. Dad, wait. Thank you for not pushing for prison. The DA told me you supported the plea deal. I didn't do it to save you. I did it to protect myself. I know, but it saved me anyway. I left him sitting in that booth. I didn't know if we'd ever be okay, but at least we were talking. 2 years later, Brian completed probation. He'd stayed clean. No gambling. Regular therapy. He'd gotten a job as a construction foreman. Paid back half the fines. Rebuilt his relationship with Emma and Sophie. Sarah called me one evening. Will, I want to let you know Brian's been offered promotion. Site supervisor. Good pay, benefits, stability. That's good for the girls. It's good for all of us. Will, I know you and Brian aren't close, but he's changed. Really changed. The girls see it. I see it. He's become a man. I'm married again. I'm glad for that, Sarah. Would you consider coming to Emma's graduation next month? She's valedictorian. She specifically asked if you'd be there. Emma, my granddaughter. Brilliant. Kind, nothing like her father. I'll be there. The graduation was outdoors, under a perfect blue sky. Emma gave a speech about overcoming adversity, about learning from mistakes, about the power of second chances. She didn't mention her father specifically, but everyone knew what she was talking about. When the ceremony ended, Emma ran over to me. Grandpa! She hugged me tight. Thank you for coming. Wouldn't have missed it for the world. Sweetheart. Brian approached slowly, carefully. Dad, thanks for being here. I looked at him. 2 years of sobriety. 2 years of work. 2 years of slowly rebuilding. Emma earned it. I said, this is for her. I know, but still, thank you. We stood there awkwardly. Dad, thank you for that phone call. The one where you invited me over to help with your computer. You could have just had them arrest me at work, humiliated me in front of everyone, but you gave me the dignity of being arrested in private. I met his eyes. I didn't do it for your dignity, Brian. I did it because I wanted to look you in the eyes when the police took you away. I wanted you to see that I knew, that I documented everything, that you didn't fool me. I know, but it still mattered. Emma pulled on my arm. Grandpa, come take pictures with us. I let her pull me away from Brian. Some wounds heal. Some just scar over. This was somewhere in between. Final entry. Fire Captain's Journal, William Carter. October 3rd, 2024. Discovered break-in. Office disturbed. Documents missing. Brian's suspicious behavior. October 10th, 2024. Bank notified me of fraudulent loan application. Federal fraud confirmed. October 10th, 2024, 7 p.m., Brian arrested at my residence for mortgage fraud, identity theft, and forgery. Outcome, guilty plea, 5 years probation, gambling treatment, financial restitution, relationship with son, damaged but not destroyed. Lesson learned, documentation saves lives. In 43 years as a fire captain, I learned to write down every detail of every scene. That habit saved me from financial ruin. My son tried to steal my house, but he underestimated his father. Fire captains don't guess about details. And we never forget.